Michael Irvin silences critics of Deion Sanders. My friend is untouchable. When Pro Football Hall of Famer Michael Irvin speaks, the football world listens. And this week, he had no patience for anyone questioning the greatness of his longtime friend, Deion Sanders. In a fiery response that felt straight out of his Dallas Cowboys glory days, Irvin shut down modern critics who dared to compare Sanders' era to today's NFL. A legend. Defending a legend, the Colorado Buffaloes may be struggling this season, sitting at 2-4 midway through 2025, but Deion Sanders' name still commands national attention. Once hailed as the man who brought swagger and hope back to college football, Coach Prime now finds himself navigating a tougher stretch both on the field and in the public eye. But the latest round of criticism wasn't about Colorado's record. Instead, it came from a place that hit much deeper: his legacy. During a recent episode of the Facts Over Feelings podcast, a host questioned whether Sanders and other NFL legends from the 1980s and 1990s could compete athletically with today's stars. The host even suggested that Sanders was an alien dropped into the wrong time, implying that his competition lacked the kind of physical preparation and athleticism common among today's players. For Michael Irvin, that was one bridge too far. Irvin fires back. "Are you shotting me?" Known for his fiery passion and unfiltered honesty, Irvin didn't hold back. The three-time Super Bowl champion and one of the most dominant receivers of the 1990s took to social media and podcast platforms to respond. "Are you SG me?" Irvin exploded. "We are the two most accomplished receivers in the history of this game when you're talking about the most important thing: championships. And your stupid ass talking about running fast, like people weren't running fast back then. Are you SSG me?" Irvin's fury wasn't just about himself. It was about protecting the legacy of his peers. He took special offense at a segment where podcasters compared old photos of himself and Jerry Rice to modern stars like Odell Beckham Jr. and Tyreek Hill, using body aesthetics as a way to question past athletic standards. For Irvin, that wasn't just unfair, it was ignorant. The 1990s. A different breed of toughness football purists and historians know exactly where Irvin is coming from. The NFL of the 1980s and 1990s was a radically different battlefield. Rules were looser, hits were harder, and survival demanded a level of toughness modern players rarely face. Defensive backs could use their hands aggressively to jam receivers off their routes. Safeties were free to crush anyone crossing the middle of the field. Offensive schemes lacked the protection-focused spacing that today's players rely on. In other words, Michael Irvin and Deion Sanders didn't just play football, they fought through it. Irvin, who became the emotional leader of the Dallas Cowboys dynasty, routinely faced physical punishment that would draw multiple flags in today's NFL. Sanders, meanwhile, revolutionized the cornerback position, using unmatched speed, instincts, and swagger to dominate some of the best receivers of all time, including Irvin himself during their legendary NFC East duels. Those battles weren't just games, they were wars, and they helped turn the NFL into the cultural powerhouse it is today. The brotherhood of legends Irvin and Sanders' friendship runs deep, forged in competition and sustained by mutual respect. Both players were stars of the 1990s, both larger-than-life personalities who transcended the sport, and both understood that their greatness wasn't measured just by stats, but by the fear and respect they commanded. While Irvin's Cowboys captured 3 Super Bowl rings in 4 years, Sanders' brilliance earned him 8 Pro Bowl selections, 2 Super Bowl titles, and a reputation as the greatest shutdown corner in NFL history. Together, they helped define an era where physical dominance met charisma, where legends were built on grit, not Instagram reels. So when someone suggests Deion Sanders might not measure up to today's players, Irvin takes it personally. To him, that's not just disrespect, it's blasphemy. Irvin's argument. Context. Matters from a historical perspective, Irvin's defense makes sense. Yes, training, diet, and recovery technology have evolved dramatically. Today's athletes benefit from advanced analytics, specialized nutrition plans, and year-round conditioning programs that didn't exist in the 1990s. But football is still football, and Irvin argues that greatness transcends time. In Sanders' era, corners and receivers faced rules that encouraged physical warfare. Today's wideouts enjoy more freedom of movement, while defenders face stricter limits on contact. A player like Deion Sanders, who thrived under the old system, would arguably be even more dominant under today's rules, where his blazing speed and anticipation would face fewer restrictions. That's the core of Irvin's defense, Deion. Sanders wasn't just good for his era. He was extraordinary in any era. Coach Prime. Under pressure, but still commanding loyalty. While this debate unfolded online, Deion Sanders has continued to face criticism for Colorado's performance this season. After a strong start to his college coaching career that captured the nation's imagination, the Buffaloes have cooled off, sitting at 2-4 overall and winless in Big 12 play. Still, Irvin's words serve as a reminder that Sanders' impact can't be measured by a mid-season record. He remains one of the most influential figures in modern sports, a man who changed the way athletes brand themselves, communicate with fans, and embrace authenticity. Irvin's defense wasn't just about football stats. It was about preserving the cultural importance of a man who redefined excellence, confidence, and showmanship in the NFL. Colorado's next challenge, Iowa State. The Buffaloes will have a chance to shift their narrative this weekend when they face the Iowa State Hawkeyes on Saturday, October 11th. Kickoff is scheduled for 3:30 p.m. ET, 12:30 PT, on ESPN Colorado, enters the matchup following a disappointing 35-21 loss to the TCU Horned Frogs on October 5th. With their record now at 2-4 overall and 0-3 in conference play, Sanders' team is desperate for a turnaround performance. For Coach Prime, the pressure is mounting. But if Irvin's words are any indication, he won't be facing it alone. Irvin's message to the critics. In the end, Michael Irvin's response was about more than nostalgia. It was about legacy, respect, and perspective. The NFL legends of the past paved the road that modern stars walk on today, and Irvin isn't going to let anyone forget that. Deion Sanders is untouchable, Irvin made clear. You can talk about stats, you can talk about training, but you can't touch the man's greatness. As Sanders continues his coaching journey in Boulder, he may be enduring growing pains, but in the eyes of his peers, and especially in the eyes of his brother-in-arms, Michael Irvin, his place in football history remains untouchable, unshakable, and unquestioned. For Coach Prime, the pressure is mounting. But if Irvin's words are any indication, he won't be facing it alone. Irvin's message to the critics. In the end, Michael Irvin's response was about more than nostalgia. It was about legacy, respect, and perspective. The NFL legends of the past paved the road that modern stars walk on today, and Irvin isn't going to let anyone forget that. Deion Sanders is untouchable, Irvin made clear. You can talk about stats, you can talk about training, but you can't touch the man's greatness. As Sanders continues his coaching journey in Boulder, he may be enduring growing pains, but in the eyes of his peers, and especially in the eyes of his brother-in-arms, Michael Irvin, his place in football history remains untouchable, unshakable, and unquestioned.